That game has finished West Ham United 0, Arsenal 6, a scoreline that's totally and utterly reflective of the game. Make no mistake about that. I think if you'd have got me an hour ago, I'd have been a lot angrier than the sort of shell-shocked, sort of depressed version of me you've got now. But that was a really humbling defeat, and I think the fact that sort of Declan Rice played such a prominent role makes it even more difficult to take, it has to be said. Look, before I start getting into the goals, and there are lots of them, and you have to excuse me, I'm going to have to refer to my notes. There are that many goals. I have to say, how the team wasn't changed after we were 1-0 down is absolutely beyond me. It was 4-0 at half-time, 4-0. But when we went 1-0 down, it was quite clear that what we were doing was not working. It was really evident to anybody watching that game that what was going to happen was West Ham were going to concede more because we had major problems. David Moyes didn't do anything. I don't think he really knew what to do. It's not the first time we've seen that. I just think, like following the 5-0 defeat to Fulham, I just think every season we're going to get a Tonkin or two. I really do, because we just invite so much pressure upon us. And look, I spent a long time talking about just having too few attackers. It just leaves people isolated. It leaves us with no threat on the counter-attack. We are no threat to the opposition at all. So they just feel that they can attack and attack and attack. We're meant to be a counter-attacking team. We're not particularly good at it. We're meant to be a big physical team. We're not particularly good at it. We were bullied today. At half-time, Roy Keane said West Ham looked old and tired. Yeah. Well, you know what? We absolutely did. And you know what? We looked old because we are old. And we start looking at some of the fresh legs that everyone else has got buzzing around. It ain't good. I mean, I'm absolutely fuming. As I'm talking now, I'm actually getting more and more wound up. I'm fuming with the transfer window. I'm fuming with the decision not to bring any players in, or the ineptitude, whichever it is. I'm going to deal with that in tomorrow's video. I'm going to try and stick to the game now, but things need to be said. Things need to be dealt with regard to that. The fact that probably 15,000 fans left at half-time would tell you an awful lot. I tell you something now, if David Sullivan's not been paying attention thus far, I bloody hope he is now, that's for sure. Anyway, let's go through the goals, as depressing as it is. First one was Saliba from a corner. Zonal marking sort of failed, basically. Alvarez didn't contest a header. I'd love to be telling you about good stuff that we did here. Let me tell you one thing. Mohamed Kudus dispossessed the guy that was playing left back early on in the game. It might have produced something, and he was just too hesitant. He was too hesitant. In many respects, I actually think that, we often say a player's been Moyes. I think I'm going to change that to a player's been Fornals. And the reason I say that is Fornals turned up as a skillful player, and by the time David Moyes had finished with him, he was backtracking, he was defending, all the skill had been knocked out of him, and then he basically rocks up to Real Betis and scores a beautiful goal when he leaves West Ham. I'm not saying permanently Mohamed Kudus has been Fornals, but it cannot be an easy thing to play within this team. So, I don't know, he was just hesitant or whatever. I don't know. Maybe we just don't run those sort of drills at West Ham. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty miserable about West Ham stuff at the moment, so you have to excuse me if I feel a little, it's very, very hard to say anything nice. Really hard to say anything nice. Anyway, Moyes needed to change after that first goal. He really did. Particularly, you would think that, look, one of the reasons that Thomas Souček is put into this team is because of his height. Not that this particular goal was Souček's, but was just Souček's fault, but we were just dominated. In the end, we can't even be good at the one thing we're supposedly okay at doing. We still get dominated. There's one thing if Arsenal pass through us to be stronger than us. I've had enough, I've got to say. It was 2-0, was a penalty. The penalty was a little bit odd, really, because it was Saka was sort of hauled down by Areola. But Agurd wasn't great in a build-up to it, it has to be said. And, Agurd was going to go on to get progressively worse throughout the game. He wasn't the only one, by the way. It wasn't just Agurd. Saka scored the penalty, and it was 2-0 at that point. At this point, Emerson had started to lose control of Saka, and it was a bit of a shame. For the first 5 minutes, it almost looked like Emerson and Ben Johnson, who was playing left back, was they might be able to form a little bit of a partnership. Just make this point: we had two fullbacks playing down at left-hand side, and we still couldn't keep him quiet. I'm talking about Saka, keeping Saka quiet. Not that I overly blame Ben Johnson for any of this. I think, in fact, in many respects, I applaud Ben Johnson for not signing his contract at West Ham at the moment. I have to say, in the same way, I'd applaud Divine Mubama for not signing his contract. How he didn't manage to get on today. It was ridiculous, actually, how David Moyes, right to the end, and I'm jumping. What am I up to? I'm up to 2-0 at the moment. I'm jumping to the end of the game. It's amazing at 6-0 down, David Moyes continued to flog Jarrod Bowen and didn't give him a rest. Unforgivable is a strong word, but I would love to be asking him questions in this press conference. I really would. Goal 3-0, Gabriel header, close range, Rice free kick. What can I say? Anyone going to step up? Zuma, Agurd, Souček, anyone going to contest this header? No, I don't think so. We'll just failure of zonal marking again. Just sharper. Wanted it more. Whatever. I don't know. Goal 4-0. Trossard. Poor Zuma header. And in terms of a clearance, went to Arsenal. Poor play from Alvarez in there as well. Trossard sort of advanced on goal, finished it well, curled it into the top right corner. 4-0 half-time. What did David Moyes do at half-time? He brought on Calvin Phillips and Konstantinos Mavropanos. He took off Edson Alvarez. Alvarez got a yellow card very early, and after 8 minutes or something like that, by the way, and wasn't playing well. Nobody was playing well, by the way. Mavropanos came on for Zuma. I guess it was the right call. Look, substitution needs to be done. Probably would have made 4 myself, and but then again, I would have done something after that first goal. But 4-0, there's nowhere to go. No, there's nothing left to do, is there? Anyway, I honestly, very, very rarely after we lose that I'm this annoyed by it. Was it 5-0? Saka, he sort of got in between Emerson and Gers. I mean, by this point, I would say Emerson lost complete control of the situation down that side. And I almost feel bad for pointing out, because he's been good this season. And I feel bad when I'm saying stuff about Edson Alvarez. It sounds like I'm singling players out. I'm just telling you what happened at any particular point in the game. Loads of players were crap. You're going to have to join us on our Patreon player ratings to find out in more detail. Links in the description below. It's a free trial on Patreon at the moment. If you fancy joining up, we're going to have a right old time tomorrow morning on player ratings. I'll tell you that much. What can you say? Agurd wasn't particularly good by this point. I thought he'd lost interest. I thought he started quite sharp. Agurd had tried to get forward, tried to do his stuff, but it can't be easy playing in this team. It cannot be easy playing in this team at all. Would not be surprised if some players are on the phone to their agents this morning. So that was 5-0, 6-0. Declan Rice long shot, dagger to the heart long shot, wasn't it? Finished it really, really well. He did the whole thing. Don't celebrate. But what can you do? He'd celebrated earlier on when Gabriel scored, he celebrated. So I don't know. Whether he celebrates, whether he doesn't celebrate, I couldn't really care less. It's just he's gone now, isn't he? But it's hard to watch him come back and play so well. But I guess we've got the better of him twice this season. But yeah, it was difficult, and certainly not laying any blame at Declan Rice's door for the way that West Ham played today. That's for sure. I do lay the blame. There's some games, and if you go through enough of these videos, I'll tell you. I'll say, look, I'm letting Moyes off here. The players were to blame. I'll say that quite a lot, and I have done this season. If you're a regular watcher of the channel, that's on Moyes today. That is on Moyes today, and I'm very, very unhappy about it. And I don't think it's going to relent, because I've still got a lot more ranting to do. So I'm probably going to rant on about. I'm probably going to record David Moyes' video for tomorrow. I'm probably going to record it in a minute. Truth be known. Just in case you think, he's not changed his jumper overnight. That's because I'm going to do it now. I'm absolutely disgusted with what I've seen. We're still in 8th. It's weird. Throughout the game, the commentators are picking up things that West Ham are doing wrong. And yeah, they'll still say, what's wrong with West Ham fans? Well, you sort of pinpoint it throughout the game, don't you? So there you go, 6-0 humbling, 6-0 thrashing. Just look like, just can't attack, can we? Can't attack. You know, lose a player and we're sort of screwed, really, and we're just seeing everything. But it's like watching sand fall through the gaps in your fingers, isn't it, really? It's just sort of all disappearing before us at the moment. That's the way it feels anyway. Not saying we can't go on and have some sort of run, but there was a couple of people saying the build-up show, you know, let's have some positivity. You know, it's hard now. It's hard in this review to be positive about anything. It wasn't good at all. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because, well, I don't want to depress you any further. I'll just depress you some more tomorrow.